Brown gravy stew is such a warm, comforting meal as the weather turns colder. Today, I'm showing you how this hearty, filling dish comes together using simple pantry staples. No fancy ingredients needed. Hi friend, come on in. Brown gravy stew was always a cozy meal when I was growing up, perfect for cold evenings with buttered bread and a side of pickles. It's simple, comforting, and the leftovers make an amazing soup the next day. Let's start with the vegetables. A wild card in almost any stew. Use what you have on hand. I like onions, carrots, celery, frozen peas, and a root vegetable like rutabaga or turnip for depth. But today, I only had carrots and celery, so we're rolling with it. Cut everything into a large dice so it holds up during the long cook. You can peel your carrots if you like, but I usually just give them a good scrub to remove any dirt. Now for the meat. Just about any tough cut works here. Chuck roast, round, brisket, or even stew meat. Since we're braising this low and slow, you want something with connective tissue that breaks down and becomes tender. I'm using a freezer burnt tri-tip that was hiding in the back of my freezer. I trimmed off the outer layer and diced it into large chunks. Freezer burnt meat actually works great for soups or stews because the long braise rehydrates it and softens everything up. Just trim off any dried parts to avoid off flavors. In a large Dutch oven, heat a little bit of oil over medium-high heat. Add the meat in batches and brown it on all sides. Don't overcrowd the pan or it'll steam instead of sear. We're building flavor here, and that deep browning gives the gravy its rich, beefy taste and dark color. Add a touch more oil between batches if the pan starts to look dry. Once each batch is browned, set it aside in a bowl while you work on the rest. When all the meat's browned, add everything back to the pot along with your chopped vegetables. Pour in enough liquid to just cover the ingredients. Water works fine, but beef broth, bouillon, or even a splash of red wine or tomato juice will deepen the flavor. I added a bit of homemade onion soup mix and freeze-dried onions since I was out of fresh. That adds extra onion flavor and a savory boost. A spoonful of beef bouillon concentrate, some salt, pepper, and a splash of Worcestershire sauce ties everything together. Bring this up to a boil, then cover it and transfer to a 350 Fahrenheit or 175 Celsius oven for about 2 to 3 hours. The time depends on how full your pot is. Mine wasn't very full, so it took closer to 2 hours. Check the liquid occasionally to make sure it isn't boiling dry. Add a little more water or broth if needed to keep everything just barely covered. Once the meat and vegetables are tender, pull the pot from the oven and return it to the stove. If you have frozen peas, toss them in now so they can warm through while we thicken the gravy. In a small jar or bowl, whisk together about a half cup of water with a third cup of flour to make a smooth slurry with no lumps. With the pot hot but not boiling, drizzle in a bit of the slurry while stirring. Let it simmer gently and thicken before adding more. You're looking for a thick, rich gravy that still has some movement to it. Once it's at the right consistency, give it a taste and adjust the salt and pepper. Serve this over mashed potatoes with thick slices of buttered bread and a side of pickled beets. I added some corn I had on hand and it worked beautifully. The meat is fall apart tender. The vegetables are soft, and that rich brown gravy warms you from the inside out. If you have leftovers, you could easily turn them into a soup. Just add a bit more beef stock to thin it out and toss in cooked noodles or barley for a completely new meal. This can also be made in a pressure cooker. We used to do it that way all the time, but I like the oven method because it's hands-off and not everyone has a pressure cooker. If you'd like the printable recipe, there's a free plus download linked below. And if you love simple, pantry-based meals that save money and taste like home, hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out, and I've got plenty more scratch cooking recipes and techniques coming your way. Thanks for hanging out with me today.